So what I'd love to do is just get your thoughts on research, customer experience, and how you drive that process and how you think about that.
Yeah. So when I think the example on the abandonment rate, I went from being purely in product and purely in UX, which I loved. I was really hesitant to move out of it. Like I could imagine my whole life of building and working with teams, developing good products for amazing customers. So I nervous about it. And then I got landed a really tough, almost perennial, what was a perennial abandonment problem. No one had really figured it out. No one had cracked what was going wrong 4 or 5 years. I wanted to end with it pretty trepidatious, some good fear, appropriate fear on how to fix this thing. And like I said earlier, just getting as many materials as I could, because knowledge, you need to get the whole landscape filled out. You need as many counselors as you can, as many voices to start to set the landscape for where the problems can be. And once you have most of the pieces, you don't have to have them perfectly figured out. You don't have to have super niche knowledge, but once you have enough of the pieces, you can play and you can start to discern like how to actually look at an organization, look at a team and see where the problems are. So for me, I wasn't expecting how quickly research could basically transition a perennial issue from like a major problem that no one was able to solve. And it was solved within about 2 weeks and then solved permanently. So it's not, we don't even think about abandonment as a metric. I don't care about it because we're under 2% on the monthly average with our dark days. Super healthy place. It's not even a KPI I care about anymore because we were able to crack the problem. It wasn't what was expected. I was expecting to have a huge hurdle, but the thesis I've teased out over the last 6 to 8, 9 months I've been doing this job is if you can understand the landscape of the problem really well, then you can find a solution extremely quickly. And on the back end of that solution, there's more problems to figure out and more problems to tease out that need to be solved. But that's the beauty and splendor of research in general is you go down the road and if you find the right road associated with the right goal, what you'll find on the other end of it is happy employees, happy customers, and a ton of work to do to continue serving towards that goal. And all that work is unanxious, it's spontaneous, it's supple and pliant. You can move the whole organization. That's like from a product side, that's the idea of agility. If you adapt to the circumstances, a lot of companies go the agile route and everything gets screwed up because it becomes too sophisticated, bureaucratic. It requires too many people pulling levers in all sorts of ways. But if you can find the right path and be oriented to it, you're not going to have any problems, in my opinion, beating the competition, satisfying your employees, satisfying the customer. Because once you go down the road of proactivity, on the other side of getting the core of the things stable, that's where the fun is. Like, how do we do branded customer journeys for onboarding? How do we do messaging based off of how many times we've interacted with them in the last 6 months, tailorized messaging? How do we get our teams into higher touch calls with our clients more frequently? Those are harder things to crack, especially at small organizations, but these are fairly small. These are not huge teams. I have about 40 underneath me across 3 companies, but we're starting to do fairly sophisticated, proactive work because we've got the baseline in a really strong place. I think the theory was originally, I don't know if the research will be enough. Didn't expect that. But I think now that I've tested it a lot, if you get the core, everything else falls into place and you won't believe how good it can be. And that's the idea of measured by infinity. If you feel that you have infinity in front of you and you like it, you're on the right path because each of these, every team, every goal, it can't always be improved. And that's actually a bit of a threat to you as a person and a team. But if you discern it within the life cycle of these organizations and amongst your competition, that's where the fun is. Like, how do we get to that next step? And how do we set the terms that the industry now have to follow? Because everyone appropriately should be catching up. Companies go here, you zig, a company zags with you. And that's right, because take that which is good from someone else, learn from it and move. But how do you become the company that innovates and becomes so sticky and you get loyalty just like exploding for your organization? That's when you can tap into the exact core of what the mission of the organization is. Everything else falls into place. And that's where people like, it just is super fun because you can now take employees who are dissatisfied, frustrated, and start to see them for their individuality, help them train according to that new goal, help pull up those ideas. You're not in a place where you're overly anxious and reactive. So now you can take people who have good ideas and say, yes, go do that. Let's do it. Go do it badly in a week. And then let's see how it goes. And then let's see if we can make it better together, and we'll do it again.